Hello, hello. Give me a sec to get set up here. If you're watching the replay, hold tight. All right, I'm going live on all platforms today. We are on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, doing it all here. All right. Gonna take some people some time to come on live. That's okay. If you are watching the replay, please comment below replay so I know you were here. All right, we're gonna get started with this 2 truths and a lie today. I always say this was a good one. I'm not gonna say it today, but it was a good one. Okay, I lied. I think they're always good. I'm a little bit biased. What's going on right here? What's that? What's that? Know what I'm saying? What is that? I gotta redo my messy bun because of that. All right, let's get into it today. What is up? I am live on every single platform today. We have a bunch of new people in our Facebook groups. I'm going to do a quick introduction. I do this probably once a month on these 2 truths and a lie. I'm Jamie, obviously, creator and founder of the Strength Method and Strength by Jamie Barroso. We generally work with people who want to gain strength, they want to gain muscle, and ultimately be the healthiest and strongest versions of themselves, but they're tired of the constant food restriction. They're tired of programs and workouts that ultimately get them nowhere or leave them feeling like they're spinning their wheels, burning the candle at both ends. Our clients in general want to look like they work out, right? They're not super obsessed with the scale number, or at least maybe they are and they want to let that go, but they know they want to have some definition. They want to look like they work out, but with the freedom to enjoy pizza with the family or margaritas with friends without the guilt and the food anxiety, right? They want to be the one that busts out the pull-ups at the summer barbecue. Okay. They want to feel confident wearing the shorts and the crop top, no matter what the weight on the scale says. All right. We ultimately help our clients achieve this through realistic nutrition coaching that includes the Oreos and the wine and the pizza, right? But also custom built training programs, as well as accountability and community and support along the entire journey. I am super excited to be pulling together our first ever fat loss challenge. Usually our challenges and our boot camps, I kind of avoid talking about fat loss so directly. So I'm actually really excited to be really intensely focused on helping people drop 5 to 10 pounds of body fat before, summer comes, but doing it realistically. Okay. So we're going to be starting this fat loss challenge in May. We're going to go through the process of a fat loss phase together. Okay. If you are already a client in any way on any of our tiers of programming, you already get to join this for free. For everyone else, registration is going to be next week. If you're interested in this fat loss challenge and joining us, please comment below fat loss challenge. It doesn't tie you into anything, but I want to make sure that I get you the information right away. These things tend to fill up fast because we do load everybody on our training app, and we have a limited amount of spots that we can put without paying more for an extra plan, right? So the spots fill up fast for getting everybody on our training app. So I just want to make sure that you get first dibs on registration. So if you're interested in joining us for a fat loss challenge, it's going to be 6 weeks long. Comment fat loss challenge below. We're going to go through a fat loss protocol together. There's going to be a group forum or chat of some sort. We're going to be doing weekly live coaching calls so you can ask questions. We're going to have a guest speaker come and join us as well to talk about fat loss tips and ways to make your goals more attainable. There's going to be some custom nutrition guidelines for everybody. There's going to be meal plans and recipes and all of that stuff, as well as loading everybody onto our custom app where you're going to get training programs to choose from so that you can work out if you want to, but there's not a whole lot of pressure to do that. But you'll get a taste of our style of training as well. And yes, I'm going to be doing this fat loss challenge along with everyone. I recently lost about 8 pounds. I did a fat loss challenge on my own. I'm up 2 pounds from that time, which is normal and expected when you kind of go back into a maintenance zone, which is where I've been. But my aim is to lose another 3 to 5 pounds in the 6-week challenge. So it will be fun to do it all together. So if you're interested in joining us for the fat loss challenge, just comment below fat loss challenge. So I make sure to get you that info as soon as registration is up, ahead of a public announcement. I already have a good amount of people on a waiting list. So if you want in on that, just let me know. All right, 2 truths and a lie. As you know, every week is 2 truths and a lie. If you're here live, please say hi. By the way, if you're watching the replay, please say replay. If you're here live, please say hello. I'd love to see who's in here with us today. So as you know, every week we do a 2 truths and a lie. Sometimes they're pretty simple and straightforward, and sometimes I'm pretty tricky with my wording and try to make it a little hard. This wasn't one of those ones. This was pretty straightforward. Almost everyone, actually, I think everyone got this one right. So let's go over this really quickly. So number one, so this is about if you're holding yourself back in the gym, ultimately, right? Okay, now I got this going on. What's that? What's that? It's always something. I'm just going to hide it back there. This is about generally women speaking here, but women and men, but specifically women tend to hold themselves back when they are training in the gym, which is ultimately impacting your progress. We see this with clients all the time. So I'll touch on that in a sec. Number one, when selecting their own weight, women tend to choose a weight heavy enough to help optimize strength gains. That's not true. That is the lie. Number two, when selecting their own weight, women tend not to choose a weight heavy enough to help them to optimize their strength gains. That is true. And number three, women tend to lift closer to their true potential when training with a partner. That is true. And even more when overseen by a professional. That is definitely true. So we see this with clients all the time. We have our clients submit form videos. This is a very important part of our program. This is why a lot of clients choose us over other trainers, because we take the form feedback so seriously. So in the beginning, especially, we have our clients submit more videos of the main movement patterns, anything else we ask for. And then as their training goes on, we leave it a little bit more optional as they kind of clear exercises and get better at them, as they master their deadlift, master their squat form, etc. We still want to see the videos. We still want to see their form. And one of the main reasons we tell them is because not only can we see the little tiny things that you might not be able to see when your weight gets heavier, form tends to break down a little bit more, and we can kind of spot those things with our eye, maybe things that you might miss. So that's one reason. But the other reason is that because we can actually judge your intensity sometimes better than they can. So when we see in their training program that they recorded an RPE, rate of perceived exertion, out of 10, basically how hard it feels, they might record an 8 or a 9. Or we might tell them that it should be an 8 or a 9, and they don't change it, telling us that it was an 8 or a 9. But then when we see their exercise, we're like, hey, by the way, form looks great. This was not an RPE of 8 or 9. I believe you can do more. And so we are able to go in and kind of manipulate the weight that they're using and tell them, like, hey, I want you to increase 5 pounds next week, increase 10 pounds next week. Just do as many reps as you can. And we can do that because we know that their form is good and they have built up that confidence that they're not scared to add that weight anymore because of the work we've done in the beginning of the program. And so that's a huge thing as well. And we see this all the time where clients are not actually lifting to their true potential. And that is one of the reasons we prioritize those video submittals so much. And I don't see a lot of other trainers doing that. So this is a really, really valid argument. And I think that this really affects like a lot of you in the gym. And a lot of you listening to this might right now are probably kind of nodding in agreement and being like, yeah, that's totally me. So let's talk about it a little bit. So obviously the reality is that women do not usually self-select a relative intensity sufficient enough to stimulate meaningful improvements in muscular hypertrophy, which is the size of your muscles, so getting them to actually grow, or strength. Okay, so in the gym, working, kind of spinning their wheels because they're not actually stimulating their muscles enough to create meaningful improvements. Meaningful improvements are what we want, right? In one study in particular of untrained women and men, actually, they were noticing that these people were choosing a weight around 42 to 57% of their true estimated 1 rep max. This is an important number. 42 to 57% of their true estimated 1 rep max. What is a 1 rep max? It is the most amount of weight that you could possibly lift for 1 rep. So the 1 rep max is generally used to determine somebody's ultimate strength. For a lot of people, they don't need to know their 1 rep max number. This is just a number that is used to determine what a person's true strength is. So with me, Jamie, I typically can lift a 230-pound deadlift for 5 reps. Then how much weight could I calculate to be able to lift for only 1 rep, putting my max effort in? It's probably going to be more than that, right? It's going to be 250, 255, 260. It's going to be a little bit higher. Do I lift that amount of weight for 1 rep? No, I don't usually test that 1 rep max because it takes a lot of effort from your body. Some people do. You might do it in different seasons or different, seasons of training or blocks of training. It's not something that people typically do, is like go lift as much weight as they can for 1 rep unless they're competing in powerlifting. But if you know about how much weight you can lift for a certain amount of reps, your 1 rep max can easily be calculated using online calculators. So these people were choosing about 42 to 57% of their true estimated 1 rep max. And should they be at 100? No, not necessarily. But for context, you want to be, for muscle hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, we should be 60 to 80% of our 1 rep max for hypertrophy. And for pure strength, 80 to 100% of your 1 rep max, okay, depending on how many reps you're lifting. But these untrained people were lifting closer to 42 to 57%. And then there was another study that was using recreationally trained women. So these were women who reported that they did engage in resistance training regularly. Not necessarily that they were advanced or intermediate, but they were probably in the beginner to intermediate range. And they were lifting 57% of their 1 rep max. So still below the recommendation of 60 to 80% for hypertrophy and 80 to 100% for strength. Studies also show, obviously, that women tend to train slightly more intensely with company, right? If you have a training buddy, everybody knows that. That's kind of, that makes sense, right? When somebody's with us in the gym, we're working a little bit harder. I know for me, I go in phases. I have a full gym here, but I don't often. Well, it depends on the phase that I'm in. Sometimes I'll go through phases where I like working out at home. I like the convenience of it. I feel relatively motivated, but I'm entering a phase now, which I'm used to this cycle, where I'm just not motivated by being at home. I'm dicking around. I'm not really putting my all into it. And I find myself, I find that by just putting myself in the gym environment, like an actual gym environment with other people that are also training, even if I'm not communicating with them, even if we're not interacting in any way, I find that being in the environment of a gym with other people working towards the same goal is highly motivating for me. So like, for example, yesterday I was like, I need to go to the gym because I know that I'm not going to do as well here. I went to the gym. Just being around other people, I 100% worked out closer to my true potential than I would have if I had worked out at home that day. And then obviously if we add in the layer of interaction and somebody working out with us, that's likely to increase maybe a little more, maybe not for me, somebody who's more advanced, obviously. I didn't mean that to sound cocky, obviously. But yeah, and then even more when you have somebody who is overseeing you, whether it's virtually or in person. So this can be true with an in-person trainer, but this can also be true for our clients who know that when they are entering their weights in their app, their trainer is going to see it. They know when they take that video of their deadlift or their bench press and they send it to us that we are going to see their intensity. So they are receiving that benefit as well. So how can you apply this to yourself? Because this is really important, because like I said, frog is in the throat. Like I said, this general issue affects a very large amount of people, and almost guaranteed, if you're sitting there thinking, not me, I work out pretty hard, it probably affects you too. Okay. Unless you are an advanced lifter who's worked with very good trainers before, because there's a difference between good trainers and just trainers, then it probably affects you as well. So how can you apply this to yourself? I have some tips to make sure that you are going to be able to shift this in your own training, because we want you to become your strongest self. We want you to become your most confident and healthiest self. We don't want you in the gym spinning your wheels. We want you to be able to level up, right? So number one is obviously to consider hiring a trainer or joining some sort of program. Okay. We obviously have a great one. We have all different levels, tiers that fit almost every budget, every level of accountability. Sometimes that accountability piece plays a huge role. So sometimes people really need that upper level of accountability, and some people don't. It's going to depend on you. But something to consider is that my virtual clients, and I can say this with confidence, and if you're my in-person client watching this, then I'm sorry, but it's true. Our virtual clients get more from us than our in-person clients. Okay. Then I have a few right now, and I can tell you that our virtual clients get more from us than our in-person training clients. But our virtual clients actually pay less a lot of times than our in-person clients. Because if you think about going to see an in-person trainer, if you pay I'm just going to use $50 for a session. And that's, I think, on the lower end for a lot of states in the United States. I'm not exactly sure what the going rate is. But I know it's like 50 to 75 typically for a session. If you pay $50 a session for 2 sessions a week, that's already $400 a month. And a lot of times you're going to find a virtual training program that's going to be more affordable than that. So something to consider if you have some experience with weights, I actually recommend trying a virtual training program. I really think it could blow you out of the water as long as you find a good one, not just a good one, but make sure that what you're looking for out of a virtual training program aligns with what your goals are. Like I said, we tend to specialize in the form feedback and the custom programs to help you really reach your goals of a pull-up or a push-up or deadlifts or whatever it is that you want to be able to achieve with your body. We customize our programs for that. There's a lot of other virtual programs I see out there don't put as heavy emphasis into the training, and it's a lot more heavy emphasis into the nutrition, and then they give you like a training routine that you can add along to it. So really think about what's your goal when you go to find someone. But that's obviously number one. Consider hiring a trainer. Okay. It's just the fact of the matter. But number 2, if that's not an option for you for whatever reason, you need to improve your form. That's going to be number 1. Form is going to be the biggest thing. So we assess our clients for form consistently, but if you don't have that access, right, YouTube is your best friend. You can find some great form tutorials. We have ones. I'm adding them weekly. So you can go look at my YouTube channel. You can also find others. Jordan Syatt has some great YouTube on there, form tutorials, as well as like the Mind Pump guys, or just type it in. Not everything is going to be fabulous, but you can at least get a pretty good start. And obviously without proper form or proper confidence in your form, this is a huge one, you're always going to be afraid to go heavier. You're always going to be afraid to kind of push that, right? So prioritize your form. Number 3 is to practice bailing if your reason is fear-based, okay? If your reason for not being able to increase your weight or not wanting to push the intensity is fear-based because you're afraid of hurting yourself, obviously refer to number 2. We need to make sure that your confidence in your form and your form is good. After that, you need to practice bailing. And this is really only going to be applicable in like a compound exercise. Obviously a deadlift is pretty easy to bail. You just drop the weight, but a squat is something that tends to scare people more. A bench press is something that tends to scare people more. So you need to practice bailing. Okay. I'm not going to go over all the ways to practice bailing right now. We can do another video on that if you're interested. But practice bailing, practice how to get out of a squat that is too heavy for you safely. And that's going to really improve your confidence levels as well, because you'll know that if you do get stuck, you'll be able to bail. I will say that I have pushed myself very much on the squats to the point where I was scared I would have to bail. And I have yet been in a dangerous situation where I had to bail with very heavy weight on my back. And that is saying something considering how much I've pushed myself. So it's not something that is likely to happen if you make sure your form is good, but having that confidence of knowing exactly what to do when you bail is going to save you in those situations. What's up? So happy you're here. If you're here live, please say hello in the comments. Number 4 is to try an AMRAP set. This is something that we tell our clients to do when we can tell that they're not lifting to their true potential, but we're having trouble helping them understand that concept. Is we place it in their hands and we'll say, all right, that's what I want you to do next week. Use that same weight that you said was an RPE, rate of perceived exertion, of an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. That's what you told me it was. I want you to do, instead of the reps that we gave you, which is 8 or 10 or whatever, or 5, whatever it is, I just want you to do AMRAP, as many reps as possible. We'll change it right in the program. And guess what? We might have been telling them to do, 6 to 8 at an RPE of 8. And then they go forward and they do like 10, 12, 15 of doing this weight. Right away, obviously you are not lifting a weight heavy enough to really give you the stimulation you want for hypertrophy and strength, because you just did 15 reps of something we told you to do 6 to 8 of. So try that on yourself. If you wonder this about yourself, instead of giving yourself a rep range at your next workout, just do AMRAP and see how many you get. And if you're only able to do the amount of reps that you originally told yourself to do without feeling like your form's going to completely break down or you're not going to be able to get back up, then we're at closer to where we actually want to be. And number 5, if you already know, so this number 5 is really like, if you already know that you are not lifting with a stimulus that's really optimal to gain the strength and the muscle that you want to see, then just plan on lifting increasing by very small increments each set. Yes, each set, not each workout. So let's say you're going in to do a goblet squat. Okay, so we're holding the dumbbell right here and you're squatting. And let's say you're using a 15-pound dumbbell and you already know you could probably do more. I literally want you to go in, set 1, go ahead and do the 15 pounds. Set 2, try 20. Set 3, try 25. Set 4, go ahead and try the 30. And you're going to do AMRAP each time. How many reps can I get with 15? How many with 20? How many with 30? How many with 35? Whatever. I might have just jumped. I forgot 25. You get my drift. Add the 5 pounds. It doesn't matter if you can only do one set, one rep. Okay. If you get that 30-pound dumbbell, you do one rep and you're like, oh, I can't actually do anymore. Clearly that weight is too heavy. So this is where we want to work within a rep range. If you set a rep range for yourself of 6 to 8 and you can only do 1, that's going to be too heavy of a weight. But if you have the 25-pound weight or the 20-pound weight and you can do 8, but you can't do a 9th, then you're in a good zone in terms of intensity and in terms of self-selected weight. Okay. But if you already know that you're in here, try that small increments each time and kind of force yourself into that zone, and just do as many reps as you can. All right. Again, this is assuming that we've covered number 2, which is making sure that your form is solid, because if your squat form sucks, but you also know that you could do more, then we need to address the squat form first before we start adding weight. So I'd rather you, if you know that your form is not great, if you know that it needs tweaks, I would rather you lift lighter and not optimize your muscle and strength right now. Focus on your form and improving that, and then add the weight and focus on optimizing strength and muscle. Awesome. That is 2 Truths and a Lie. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions about this topic or anything else that is health, fitness, nutrition, strength training related, please comment below. We can either answer it right in the chat, or I can use it as an opportunity to create a whole other 2 Truths and a Lie or training in our group about that topic. So thank you for being here. If you are not already in our team strength group on Facebook, please join. I don't always stream these 2 Truths and a Lies publicly, but every week I do them in the group. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss one and that you're involved in all of these conversations, please make sure you join it. If you're watching on any other platform, the link's always in my bio for the Team Strength group on Facebook. It's free to join. I do weekly form tutorials. We do weekly 2 Truths and a Lie. Good discussion going on over there. So please make sure that you join us. Again, any questions, comments on this or any other topic, put it in the comments and we'll keep the conversation going. Thanks for being here. Happy 2 Truths and a Lie Day.